My name is Jeff Darcy, and I'm an acupuncturist herbalist at the Darcy Wellness Clinic. And with me in the studio is Yuanling Liu, registered dietitian and acupuncturist and herbalist. Also with me today is Po Harvey Darcy, my wife and partner at the Darcy Wellness Clinic. So Po, we teach together diet and detox and a program called Diet for Life. Tell us about why diet is so important for people. And
well, over the years,
yeah. And why do you make me eat so much brown rice at home?
Well, Jeff and I together, we've been eating healthy and holistically whole foods for about 20 odd years. And over time, we've learned that eating this way is really the first line of defense in terms of keeping yourself healthy. And every spring we do this diet detox program where we teach people not only to detox, but really the underlying philosophy of how to nourish yourself and how to eat food that has energy in it. And food with energy is food that is fruits and vegetables, whole foods with the whole grains, organic meats. And what we've learned is that in a very short time of eating this way, people really have a complete experience of what it feels like to feel healthy. So every year that we do this, it's just reinforced in me how important diet is in terms of how you're going to feel, your mental health, your physical health, your nervous system, keeping your immune system strong. And the studies are showing now that food is really the basic way to stay healthy.
What is good nutrition? Maybe you can just tell us a little bit about nutrition.
Okay. The reason why this nutrition topic exists is that there are many issues in our society that's completely related to nutrition. As we all know, the obesity rate are going up, and there are many diseases. Actually, every disease that you can name it that can all associate to nutrition, osteoarthritis, heart disease, diabetes. There are many that we can add on to the cause as the basic, as Paul said, the nutrition.
Yeah.
What consists of the good nutrition? It's common sense a lot of times, really.
Something your grandmother would tell you.
That's right. Eat your carrots.
So the idea of food is fuel. Tell us a little bit about that. Our bodies use what we put in for fuel, and good quality food, nutrients, create good quality energy and cells in our body.
That's correct. And we all hear people all commonly saying that we are what we eat.
Yeah.
This is a pretty good statement, because if we put in healthy food, like what Paul said, the whole food, you gain the nutrient and also the energy. And on the other hand, if we eat too much of one thing, fried, then you feel lousy. You give your digestion a lot of work to do, and when you're not digesting, process them well, you feel heavy, sluggish.
The idea of we are what we eat is being borne out statistically through the rates of obesity in the U.S. 58 million people overweight now in the U.S., with 40 million obese. That's really quite remarkable. 3 million morbidly obese. I mean, we are what we eat. So the idea of this being an indictment of fast food, probably, the idea that fast food chains are really promoting this kind of crisis, and that 78% of Americans are not meeting basic activity levels to burn off of the excess fuel that they're taking on board. 25% are completely sedentary, and 76% increase in type 2 diabetes. So tell us, Yuanling, tell us a little bit about what you see in a clinical setting and how you work as a dietitian with some of these issues.
Especially when we talk about type 2 diabetes, obesity is a big contributor. What it is that when we have more fat around our body cells, and when the insulin being released after we eating, the pancreas releases the insulin, the body cell doesn't even recognize the insulin present. So
just ignores it.
That's right. Yeah. So what insulin does is it helps to carry the sugar into the cell, use it as fuel. So once we have more those fat cells around our body cell, and it doesn't recognize insulin coming around, so we have a lot more excessive amount of sugar in our blood, which can lead a lot of clogging.
1 in 3 Americans overweight. 1 in 5 of
5
our children are overweight,
yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
pretty sickening when you think that school systems are being paid to put Coca-Cola, Pepsi into the school system, pizzas, you know. We have a situation where our medical elite is telling us that 40% of cancers could be prevented if we got 5 portions of fruits and vegetables, yet many school systems throughout the country are still promoting high sugar drinks and an extremely imbalanced diet. So it's quite a dichotomy.
Well, it's true. People have to kind of go out and find out this information for themselves. They really need to educate themselves. Reading books is a good way to do it, but also experiencing it in your own kitchen by choosing, you know, foods that have vitality and seeing what difference that makes on your own body.
Right.
Because if the parent knows what it feels like to eat well, if they can see the difference in a week on what a difference it makes to eat like organic broccoli
Right.
and your several servings a day, then they will have impact when they tell their children to do the same thing.
Now this is a fascinating one here. I mean, I remember seeing a lecture where they showed it from 1980, state by state across the US, every year massive increases. So just describe this for us a bit here. So Colorado, the blue state there, has a 15 to 19% increase. Over what period of time is that, Or-
Is there?
This is reflecting currently.
This is current,
yeah.
okay.
16 to 20% are overweight in that
Colorado.
population, right?
Then next we can see those kind of beige states, they're 20 to 24% overweight. Then we have the red states, there's no political statement, but just rather 25 to 29% increase in body weight. And then finally the 30 to 34% in the red. And that looks like it's Louisiana and the state next to Louisiana. How do we know that that would be a good diet? You know, that's some of the questions I'm often asked at the Darcy Wellness Clinic from my patients. And my answer is, you know, what I draw from is the 30-year Harvard-based study on the Okinawans. Okinawa is an island south of Tokyo, about 1,000 miles in the Pacific. And they have 80% less estrogen receptive cancers. They have 80% less heart disease than the US. They have the highest levels of antioxidants in the blood of any culture in the world. They have the longest lived men in the world. And they narrowly lost out the longest lived women to Nagano, that eats a very similar diet in southern Japan. And all this adds up to them having the highest number of centenarians in the world. So this Harvard study went there and they said, well, what are they eating? What does this health come from? And they found, interestingly, that under 50 years of age, they had the same disease rates as the US. Because on Okinawa, we have a lot of troops, we have a lot of fast food, American fast food chains there. So under 50, they have the same rates as the US. But above 50 years old, those eating the traditional Okinawan diet are the ones that have all the health benefits. And what are they eating? They break it down to 9 to 13 portions of mainly vegetables a day. They break it down to the amounts of fish and seaweed and 30 milligrams of soy isoflavonoids, mainly from tofu and tofu fermented cheeses and many other types of things. So there is this body of evidence building, and also from the Mediterranean diet, that a diet rich in real food, unprocessed food, with a high portion of fruits and vegetables is a healthy diet. So somebody will spend $50 on a skin cream and then choose to save money on non-organic produce in the vegetable market.
Right, so it's unfortunate. So when we understand that, you know, our body needs this in order to be healthy and functioning, you know, efficiently, we know this is important. Just like we have to brush our teeth every day, that's a necessity.
5 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables, organic where possible. So Po, we'll talk about that after. Complex carbohydrates, less meats, more chicken, more fish, beans, and use sugar, sweets, red meats, and white starch sparingly.
People say to me all the time, you know, why organic? It's so expensive. And I say to them, you're really getting much more bang for your buck.
Why is that? Why is it less?
Why is that?
The farming techniques?
Agribusiness, agri-farming, the topsoil has been depleted over and over. decade upon decade without being replenished
So not
in the
replenishing
old
the
farming
soil,
ways.
not taking the vitamins from the
Yep.
soil.
So the plants that are grown in this depleted soil is not extracting the nutrients. So therefore, you've got basically a shell of a vegetable. There's nothing. There's no substance to it.
Thank you very much for joining us today in our series on wellness. Yuan Ling, dietitian, acupuncturist, and herbalist. Po Harvey Darcy, my partner in health at the Darcy Wellness Center. And from myself, Jeff Darcy, we want to wish you and your loved ones health and wellness.